everyone. Had a little bit of technical difficulties there for a moment, but I think we figured it out. All right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Impression 5 Science Investigations. I am Miss Miranda, one of the programs coordinators at Impression 5 Science Center. You might know me from Learn 517 or Labs, or you might not know me at all. And in that case, it is very nice to meet you. As you can see, I am outside on my patio for reasons that will soon become obvious. We're going to be making some hovercrafts today, and you need a space that is nice and flat. And I live in a very small apartment. I have a very small table, and I had to also hold a laptop on that table, so it didn't really work too well on my table. But even if you have a small table, it should work for you because you don't have a camera to worry about. So I'm outside. I have a little outdoor counter here, and that's why I'm out here on this beautiful April winter day. But I'm keeping warm. I've got my earmuffs, and as Elsa once said, the cold never bothered me anyway. So I am going to get all of our materials together. I'm going to get them set up and show them to you. But while I'm doing that, I have some questions for you. I have one important question. Today is Earth Day, as you may or may not know. And I want to know, everyone asks what your favorite animal is. We all know what our favorite animal is. But I want to know what kind of tree is your favorite. So if you can let me know in the comments what tree is your favorite, I'm going to get our material set up. And also post a slide in the comments that has all of the materials you need. Maybe. We're getting some responses. A willow tree, that's a good tree. Very beautiful, very elegant. Maple tree. Also a good tree. Well, I don't know if Miss Miranda's ever going to figure out how to get an image. I don't want to post a GIF in the comments. It's one of those things you thought you knew how to do it, and then when it came time to do it. But that's okay. There is a post on the Impression 5 Facebook page that does have a list of all the materials. I'm also going to show you all the materials that you need. And if for whatever reason you don't have these materials gathered just yet, this video isn't going anywhere. You can always watch it at a later time when you're ready with the materials that you need. One of my favorite things about this experiment is even if you don't have the exact materials that it calls for, you can get really creative and use a completely different material. I do have some suggestions for you, but you could totally innovate this and make it your own, which is really cool. So one of the things you're going to be needing is a CD. Make sure it's an old CD, not one that you are currently using. CDs are kind of on their way out technologically wise. So you might have some really old CDs, maybe like a corrupted video game or something like this. I have the Fushigi instructional DVD. I don't need this anymore. I couldn't tell you where my fushigi is. Yes, at one point I did own a fushigi. So that is the CD that I am using today. So you're gonna need a CD. You're also going to need a drinking straw. And mine is already cut up. This was from my McAllister's sweet tea. That's one of my favorite things to drink is sweet tea. And I forgot, last time I went, I forgot to take my reusable cup, and they only charge you 99 cents, and I had to get a disposable cup. And what better way to celebrate Earth Day than to use a drinking straw that you can keep out of the landfill? So this was once upon a time a full straw. It's now in 3 segments, but you will need a disposable drinking straw. A metal straw won't work because you will need to cut it because it needs to be short. You're also going to need a pair of scissors. Scissors is going to serve a couple of purposes. One is going to be to cut your straw. You also may need it, depending on what material you use, as the collar of your hovercraft, which we'll talk about in a moment if you don't know what I'm talking about. You're also going to need some styrofoam. This material in particular is one that you could replace with a bunch of different things. The styrofoam that I used was the tray from my chicken. Then when you get chicken at the grocery store, it usually comes in a styrofoam tray like this. So that is what I am using for my hovercraft. The supply list also suggests a dry sponge, which you could use. I would recommend not one that's fresh from the package because they usually put some kind of like moisturizer in there, so it'll be a little soft. And when it shrinks up, it'll change sizes, which will not make the experiment work as well. So make sure it's all dried up before you use it if that is the route you decide to go. You could also use like a different kind of styrofoam. I think the kind that works the best at this experiment is the kind of styrofoam that you would get in like when you order something online, that kind of packy styrofoam that like crumbles into bits. I think that would be the best one to use, but I didn't have that. I had this and Panda Express takeout boxes. So you can make it work. You could also use a pool noodle. I've also heard it working very well with Play-Doh. So you can get really creative with this and innovate it in your very own way. You're also going to need a balloon. This is one of those materials that unfortunately I don't think you can replace. You're going to need balloons. So I have a pack of pink balloons here because pink, in case you couldn't tell, is my favorite color. You're going to need some kind of tape, some sort of adhesive. I recommend some good old-fashioned silver duck brand duct tape. But you can use other tapes as well. In my opinion, duck just holds the best. If you're going to go off script with that one, I'd say probably Scotch and then masking tape. Masking tape it's kind of designed to peel off pretty easily, so it probably won't be the best. You're also going to need some rubber bands. Or if you're like me and couldn't find any rubber bands, you can use hair tie. Works just as well. This experiment also worked. I tried it with a bread twist tie. That also kind of works. Not super great, but it's better than nothing. You're going to need a skewer or a toothpick, which I neglected to grab, but it's not a big deal. A sharpened pencil can also work. You can get creative with that one as well. It's not critical. It does not have to be a skewer. You can still do the experiment just fine. So, like I said, we're making hovercrafts today. In case you didn't know what a hovercraft is, it's basically a vehicle that uses a cushion of air to kind of glide over a surface. They're usually amphibious. You see them used like in the military a lot. And amphibious just means that it can be used on land or on water. And usually you see them working on water. They basically just push out a bunch of air and there's that little cushion, so they're just hovering above the surface. So it's not quite flying per se. So I went over the materials with you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how to put a hovercraft together. And I have mine partially put together right now. This is version 1.5 of the hovercraft. So I'm going to show you how to put it together. And then I'm going to demo it for you and show you how it works, because this hovercraft works okay. It's not great, if I'm being honest. So what we're going to do is I have designed a little prototype. I made a little sketch of version 2.0, and we're going to see live on camera if version 2.0 works better. And I think it will. So before I get too deep into here, I want to introduce a very good friend of mine, my coworker, Christine. Christine is going to be in the comments today. So in case that I'm not paying attention to the comments, which I very might not be because I'm working on this, she'll be there helping you out with any questions that you might have. So if you're ready to get going, let's take a look at those favorite trees. We already saw willow. Ooh, cherry blossom. Ooh, lovely. Those are very lovely. My favorite, I have to go with just a classic big oak tree. I love a good oak tree. I had an oak tree in the front yard of my childhood home, and that thing had to have been at least 200 years old. So big, so cool. All right, so here we go. We're going to build our hovercraft. So, like I said, I've got my Fushigi disc right here. And before I went on camera, this is kind of the prototype that I was working with. I put a little block of styrofoam on my CD just like this, and I taped it. Now, notice how I taped it on all four sides. A couple of reasons for that. One, to make sure it was nice and secured on there. Two, you want to make sure that it's balanced, because if you have too much weight on one side, if I only taped it on one side, it's not going to be very balanced, and the experiment just won't work as well. So, we've got that. I took my straw and I cut it in half. Before, version 1.0, I tried to make my straw shorter, and it just didn't work. You can try it, you can experiment with it, but I will tell you, in my demos, it didn't work very well. You pretty much have to cut that straw in half. It needs to be a little long. And then we're going to take our balloon, we're going to take that straw, and we're just going to put it, insert it into the balloon, so it's all the way in there, just like so. And then you're going to take that rubber band or that hair elastic or what have you, and you're going to secure it onto the balloon and the straw. You watch what I'm doing. If you have long hair, you know what I'm doing. But if you don't, basically you just stretch it out, twist, and put it over. Now, here's the part that requires a little bit of finesse. You want it tight enough so that the air, when you blow up the balloon, only goes in and out of the straw. You do not want the air coming out of the balloon, like between the balloon and the straw. Sorry, this is mirrored, so this is I'm struggling here. You don't want air coming out the sides of the balloon, all right? So you can test that. I wrapped my little hair elastic around 3 times. So you can test that by, one, inflating the balloon with the straw. So let's try it. So right away, I can kind of feel some of the air coming back at me a little bit. And I could probably maybe tighten this one more time. And I remember the last time I did this. This was a little tricky because the elastic is shorter than the straw. But if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything. There we go. We got it. Success. Maybe. It's a little cold out here. Fingers are getting a little chilly. I'd wear gloves, but it'd probably just make this all harder. I'll be all right. I'm a Michigander. We'll be fine. Ugh. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm getting the balloon on the other side of the hair elastic. So it's not all bunched up in there. See how it's kind of still bunched in there? That's what I'm working on. There we go. There she goes. Okay, so now here's another thing you want to be careful of. If you tie it too tight, then what's going to happen is you're going to crush the straw, and then you won't be able to get air in or out of it. So think about that. So we're going to inflate it again. And what I just did is I pinched the straw inside the balloon. I know it's kind of hard to see, but that's what I'm doing is the straw, I'm pinching it in there. And a little bit of air is escaping, but not a ton. For the most part, it's holding its shape. It's good to go. So this is going to be the thing that, interesting. It's going to create the air cushion that I was talking about before that Hovercrafts use to hover above a surface. So that's what this little guy is all about. Next, you're going to take that piece of foam and you want to make sure that it's nice and flat. Like my little chicken tray here, there are curved parts to it. And the very first time I tried this, I tried to use pieces that were curved and it didn't work out very well. Why? Because I was out of balance. So you want to make sure that those pieces are nice and flat depending on what you use. So I'm going to use this as my example. You're going to poke a hole. Actually, I'm going to use this piece as my example because I want that piece later. I have this piece for my example. I realize it's curved, but it will still demonstrate what I'd like you to do with this piece. So what you're going to do, you're going to take that skewer or toothpick or sharpened pencil like I've got here, and you're going to poke a hole very gently. Watch your finger on the other side. Poke a hole in it. take it out. Now, you want it to fit your straw. I'm using one of my shorter straw segments to kind of make sure it works. You want the straw to be able to fit inside pretty easily, but you don't want it to fall out. See, gravity is not making the straw fall out because it's such a snug fit in the styrofoam. That's what you're looking for. If it's too big and it falls out, it's not going to work. And I'll show you why that won't work in a moment. All right. So once you've got that hole in your foam, you can line it up with the hole of the CD if that's what you're using. And I don't think I mentioned this before. You don't have to use a CD if you don't have CDs. Is that a message pop up? You don't have to use a CD. You could use a foam plate. That's the most common substitute that you could use. You could try a paper plate. I have a feeling that would be a little heavy, but you could try it. You could even, like, as Christine was suggesting to me yesterday, was it yesterday? Who knows? You can just cut a circle out of some, like a cereal box and, you know, trace a perfect circle, and you can poke holes in that, and that would also work just fine. I love how many upcycled materials we're using on Earth Day. It's perfect. Like this was meant to be. All right. So you want to make sure that the holes of the foam that you made, that you created, lines up with the hole of the CD. If you're using something that's not a CD, you're going to need to put a hole in that as well. So watch this. You take your balloon with the straw and you can insert it just like so. Everybody say ooh. Everybody say ah. I can't hear you. So, like I said, this is version 1.5. It works. Okay. Can be better, but we'll check that out. So I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of how to make this hovercraft hover. Get some stuff out of the way here. Little box of tricks, basket, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Here we go. So I have this nice flat surface for my hovercraft to be launched on. I'm going to inflate the balloon. Now, well, I'll inflate it first and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. There's some sorcery going on here. Now, of course, the bigger you inflate it, the longer it'll go. So this does require a little bit of finesse. However, I predict that version 2.0 won't require as much finesse. So I have the balloon in here, but you can see the straw kind of sticking up, sticking out, sticking down of the hovercraft. Now, if I let this go across this counter, it's just going to drag that straw, and it's not, I'll show you. It's not going to work. See? That's kind of anticlimactic. So what you need to do, the reason why we have that piece of foam there is, I'm calling it a collar. It's like a nice snug fit, is you can tuck the straw. You can push the straw up. What is happening to this balloon? I have a theory. I could be wrong. It might be the cold air. Who knows? But I have a bunch of backup balloons just in case. This is very bizarre. We're doing it live. Okay, so like I said, that little collar is going to help you push the straw up in it so that it's not sticking out the bottom. Now I'm going to show you what the hovercraft will look like. It might not work because of the major malfunction that this particular model has. So let's try it out. Oh, it's kind of going. Now there's the malfunction. Because when it works. But when it doesn't, it usually does that. So here's the big malfunction that I was talking about. When you tuck the straw up into the collar, it's not super stable. You see how much straw is still visible? It's not very stable, and it falls out pretty easily. all right, especially when it's got air forcing itself out of it. So I thought to myself, well, it'd be really nice if I had that kind of styrofoam, that crumbly kind that I was talking about before. That would have been really nice because it's thicker, right? And it'd be able to hold the straw better, tuck it up in there, basically just like, something bigger wrapping around it, and it wouldn't fall out as easily. That'd be great, but I don't have that. So what can I do? So, like a good engineer, like a proper innovator, I drew a sketch. I planned it. I thought to myself, what would be better? Well, what if I have another one of these yellow trays, and I have some scraps from before. So here's version 1.5, and excuse my sketch. That's not really the important part. I'm just showing you my process here. That's the what I just made, and as you can see, I drew an arrow to the straw that's poking out. But then I thought, what if I stacked several of these pieces of styrofoam on top of each other, like a pyramid, all right, and stacked them. And then it would hold the straw a little bit better. And maybe the hovercraft would work. Because again, it does work. I promise you. It's worked before, but it falls apart so easily. So that's what we're going to try right now. And I think I can leave all this intact. This works fine. But I do need to create some smaller pieces of foam on top of it to make a better collar. So let's try it. Like a good scientist, we're taking our vision, putting it to the test. We're doing it live. How fun is that? Okay. So I have some pieces of foam, and I'm kind of eyeballing it here. You could measure it out if you wanted to, but I'm one of those people who is really good at just eyeballing things. It's a gift. Okay. Now, here's a concern of mine. I kind of want your opinion on it, so go ahead and comment. I already have this taped down to the CD itself. Now, I could continue to tape this second piece on top of the other piece and put more tape, like basically taping it to the tape part, if that makes any sense. My concern is that's going to add more tape, more bulk, more weight, and it might not work as well. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to keep working on it, though. Let me see your predictions. That's what scientists do, right? They predict. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they don't know. I'll tell you right now. I don't know. It might work. It might not. Okay. So I poked the hole in my piece of foam, as I did before. Grab the straw. Now, originally I was going to do 3 layers. 2 might work. Just might work. Let's try it. I'm not taping it yet, but I'm just kind of fitting it in there to see. That might work. That might work. Ooh, someone's saying use Scotch tape or glue. That could work. I have neither of these things on hand. That's okay, though. You could try it. Maybe only apply tape to 2 sides. Nice suggestion, Amy. That might be what I do. Just looking at how this sits, how it's situated. That might be how I go about this. What a bizarre thing this balloon is doing. I don't like it. Okay, so I'm going to secure it with some tape. There's, see, I got a little pyramid thing going on here. Pyramid scheme, if you will. I'll be here all night. No, I won't. Okay. No, that's right. Never mind. Ignore me. So I'll tell you what just happened. I was trying to tape this, but it was over, and it's not what I wanted to tape. It's all fine. Don't worry. Everything's fine. Okay. Take 2. Here we go. I might need to replace this balloon, but I will tell you right now that when I push it up, it's a lot more stable. Like, it doesn't just fall out, which is very hopeful. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm pushing it as far as it'll go. So I have the most amount of straws possible to help me inflate it. I kind of have to kiss the CV, but okay. And I didn't think ahead. Move my basket of stuff here. I'm a little lightheaded from inflating balloons. A little chipmunk. Okay. Here we go. Hovercraft version 2.0. It is 11:27 p.m. on April 22nd, 2020. Test 1. Here we go. I hope it works. So I think now we have a new problem. And that's the problem of my sad balloon. It's losing air through the balloon itself and not the straw. So that's okay. Science is all about trial and error. So I'm going to use a new balloon, fresh balloon. This is why I have a pack of them. Just in case this happened. So real quick, I'm going to do that. I've returned. So while I'm fixing this, I can make good use of our time here. And I can give you some troubleshooting tips because these hovercrafts, I'll be honest, can be tricky. Even if you get one that works, it can be really tricky to get it going and get it maneuvering. So one of the big things, and I kind of already mentioned this before, to look out for is balance. If it's like spinning around in circles or if it just won't go, it might be out of balance. You might have too much weight on one side. So check the weight distribution of your hovercraft, and you might just have to go back to the drawing board and try again. Also, if you like completely innovated on a material, you went with like something totally new, you know, you might have to consider that maybe it's just not going to work. Maybe that dog won't hunt. Okay, 4 times? Is that what we did before? I think it was. Seems right. So, I could have done a little bit better, I'll be honest, about lining up everything, because it's a little askew. Still works, but I could have done better. And again, that's what being a good engineer is all about. We learn, we grow, we adapt. It's all right. All right, here we go. Another thing, this is kind of gross. Another big thing that might be hindering your hovercraft's performance is your saliva. You have water droplets in your breath no matter how much you try to control it. And you might have water droplets like condensating in the straw or in the balloon itself. And it just doesn't go as well when that water gets in there. Again, kind of yucky, but hey. So try your best to dry out your mouth, and you might need to replace the balloon and straw. Like I just did. I had to replace my balloon because it was doing weird things, as you saw. So, try it again. Take 2 of version 2. Here we go. Hope it works. Oh, it's kind of going. It's going. Kind of. Interesting. So, I think the cold air is really messing with our balloons out here. So, what can we do? Well, we could go inside. I could try it on my kitchen floor. I didn't really want to try it on my kitchen floor because the lighting in there is kind of weird, but it may just be what we do. So yours works, Debbie's works. Awesome. That's amazing. I might just call it then. Trust me when I say you can get it to work. You do need that flat surface, but I really do think that the cold air, sadly, is really messing with these balloons. Maybe I'll post a follow-up video of this particular version model working when I have some time to set it up. So, a little sad, a little disappointed, but that's okay. That's science. We did it live. I knew I was taking a risk when I decided to do that, but it's okay. Not too upset about it. I know it works. Believe me. All right. So, oh, that was a bad idea. Lights went out. So, before we part ways, I want to tell you how you can share your own hovercraft. So I want to see your hovercraft. One, I want to see your design. It's probably going to look a lot different from mine because you're going to be using different materials. I want to see your design. I want to see how it works. All right. I want to see you, maybe you can like do a completely new innovation. Maybe you could make one with 2 balloons. How would you do that? I wonder. An interesting design. You could race your hovercraft. If you've got siblings at home, you could each make one and race your hovercrafts, or you could FaceTime a friend and race your hovercrafts at each other's separate homes. You could even test it on different materials. You could test it across like a smooth surface like your table or your kitchen floor, or you could try it going across your carpet. Which one do you think is going to work better? I think I know, but I want to see you try it out. You could make a totally cool, innovative design. So in order to share that with us, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can post it to social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can use the hashtag MyImpression5. You can email it to us at Zeller, Zeller, at impression5.org. Or you can text it to us, 517-515-3782. And I'm going to be putting that information in the comments for you to refer back to. So you have a visual way to get that information to you. So I'm a visual learner. In one ear and out the other. Need to read it. Okay. So I'm getting a little cold. Thank you for tuning in with me. My hands quite cold. Burr. Yeah. So I think I'm going to head inside and have a nice big warm cup of tea. I hope you had a fantastic time building your hovercraft, or if you haven't built it yet, I hope you have a fun time building it on your own time. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and an amazing Earth Day. It is warming up a little bit. I can hear the birds. It's not snowing anymore, so spring may have sprung. We'll see. All right, you folks have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.